It's no secret that Sonic is one of the most divisive gaming franchises to date, especially in his later years following the transition from 2D to 3D. Everybody seems to have their own favorite Sonic formula, and everything else is hot garbage. You got the classic Sonic crowd who thinks Sonic going into 3D was a mistake to begin with, the adventure crowd who wants less linear levels and the ability to go at their own pace, the boost formula crowd who like games like Unleashed and Generations fast-paced, race-to-the-finish type of gameplay, and, did anyone like these games? But why? First of all, why is the fanbase so all over the place with what it wants? Why are there so many different versions of 3D Sonic games to begin with? Sonic has been around just as long as franchises like Mario and Zelda, who have gone through similar evolutions and not only succeeded, but thrived. So why is Sonic, ironically, being left in the dust? The Sonic series at its core is all about speed. Sonic is the cool anti-Mario for the edgy youth of the 90s, with the witty and disruptful attitude to match his fast-paced gameplay. Although the original classic games had plenty of their own problems, they still had lots of good ideas and were, if nothing else, consistent. Most levels in Sonic games are designed like a bigger Mario level, except you're also going 100 miles an hour. 100 miles an hour. Fast! Sonic is not supposed to be a platforming game, especially in 3D. At least not in the same way Mario is. The best example that comes to mind is Marble Zone in the original Sonic. This is probably one of the worst stages in all of Sonic's history. The ground is constantly shifting at different heights so you can't keep momentum, then you gotta wait for rising pillars that block your path, then you gotta push a block onto a button to open the path, gotta sit and wait on moving blocks or for blocks to come to you, tons of vertical platforming, you get the point. In a game about speed, you are expected to sit around and wait for almost the entire level. This is a speed run. Even though they're taking hits to damage boost past a lot of the waiting, there are still parts where Sonic the Hedgehog has to literally stand in place for multiple seconds at a time. Let's also not forget Sonic moves incredibly slow when he's not running, which makes these segments even more annoying. There are design flaws like these in lots of Sonic levels, especially the original Sonic, and I haven't played enough of 1 through 3 in general to tell you how bad it is. Even in games like Generations, which uses the 3D boost formula, they still try to throw in random platforming segments that you have to stop and jump through. There is no fast way to get through this. You just have to kill all your speed and platform like a Mario. A big problem I have with Sonic in general is how many things stop your momentum and speed in a game all about gaining and maintaining it. From enemies to bumpers to light dashing with rings, everything is designed in a way counterproductive to the goal of the game. Even bumpers and rings, something that is desirable to the player, will kill your momentum and speed when you hit them. Item boxes and especially bumpers should carry your momentum and the angle at which you hit them and then bounce you in a way that complements how fast you're going. But instead, they have scripted physics and kill everything you've worked towards. They send you straight up in the direction the spring is facing and then you land with all momentum lost. Sonic should still be momentum based because otherwise it's just the mobile game. Which could still be fun, but it's not Sonic. It's much harder for Sonic to go fast in 3D, and these games have their own set of development problems. Now that Sonic's in 3D, all of a sudden levels have to be much bigger, and they're more expensive to make. However, in a game about speed, the goal is to get to the end as fast as possible, so now we're putting way more time and effort for like a 3-minute level. Everything is also more generic because why spend any time polishing an area that the player will blow past in half a second? This is also why so many games like Adventure have so many plot lines and side characters. It's literally just to make the game longer by reusing assets. I'm sure these are all things you've heard before, but whatever, we just need to get them out of the way. So let's look at the first 3D Sonic game. No, not those games. The first real 3D Sonic game. There it is. Look at it. This game is bad. The main thing I want to focus on for each Sonic game is how he controls. The story for pretty much every Sonic game is pretty shit and impossible to take seriously, especially in later years. So we're not going to harp on stuff like that right now. Sonic's big claim to fame was obviously speed, which was achieved by giving him very specific physics. These momentum-focused physics are the key to gaining and maintaining speed. This especially mattered in the original game when the spin dash wasn't a thing. The way they translated this into the first fully realized 3D Sonic game was admirable at best, but broken at worst. The Adventure series feels like they were trying to recreate the physics and feel of OG Sonic and copy and paste it into 3D. However, most segments in the Adventure series don't require speed and reward treasure hunting and slow-paced exploring rather than actually trying to go fast. Most of your reasons to go fast in OG Sonic games are also now gone, like the loops, which are now a 2-second scripted event, usually with boost pads anyways, and they aren't earned by gaining momentum. Moving with Sonic in general is incredibly clunky. He's either moving -5 miles an hour or going 50 miles an hour, and they switch on and off in an instant. When going fast, all you have to do is press left or right on the D-pad, and you'll take a hard 90-degree turn and lose all speed and get disoriented. The boost formula, however, is much more linear and focuses solely on speed for the most part. This is a good and bad thing. Although it's much more fun trying to go fast and it feels better and smoother overall, it leaves a lot to be desired for level design and having an interesting world with things to explore, branching paths, etc. The most you'll usually get out of a level is a side path that gives you more rings or a little cool style ring, which in total lasts like 5 seconds before returning you to the main path. The whole point is getting to the end as fast as possible. Having it be more of a reaction-based runner game is interesting, with slides, enemies, spikes, balloons, etc. But large portions of the level are scripted and appear to play themselves. The big problem a lot of people have with the boost formula is that it feels like all you have to do is hold down boost to win, since you kill all enemies, even uncurled, and get boost meter back from all the things you blow past. Especially since with the rings equals health formula, you can never die. Combining that with the level playing itself, and you basically have a glorified cutscene with some quicktime events sprinkled in here and there that you aren't even punished for missing. Now, one of my main reasons for making a video like this in the first place was to show off these fan games I found that I think are a million times more fun and fluid than any regular Sonic game. The first one I want to show off is the Sonic Utopia engine. This one, like Adventure, tries to copy and paste classic Sonic into a 3D space with the same physics and abilities. Except it actually does it right. Not only does it literally look like everything was copy, pasted, and given a Z-axis, but it actually feels like classic Sonic. He actually has physics that make sense, and I don't think I saw anything that was scripted in sequence at all. Sonic can run sorta fast if you just run for a long time, but if you really want to pick up some real speed, you gotta use slopes and ramps and conjecture with curling and uncurling to pick up speed. Using your homing attack doesn't kill momentum or shift you unnaturally towards things. Hell, half the time you can't even tell you did it. Hitting enemies and springs actually carries your momentum forward and has no scripted physics whatsoever. There's not a single boost pad in this whole level! If you want to go fast, it's entirely up to you to manipulate inclines with curling, jumping, and not running into walls. Let me just show you how it's possible to move around in this engine. This isn't my gameplay because I'm not anywhere near this level of being able to control this, but look at how fast you can go! Look at what hitting a spring looks like going as fast as he is. It's like high-speed parkour! Imagine the kind of levels that could be designed with this in mind. Now on the flip side, we have the Infinity/Mugen engine. This was an engine made by YouTube user Ban and gives off a what forces should have been vibe. I've been talking a lot about earning speed and using momentum to do so, but this one lets you earn speed in a different way. Sonic can gain speed by going down slopes in this one, but not by much. I mean, you can't even curl and most of this area is flat anyway. The main way he gains speed is by boosting. But unlike the other boost games, this is an open area with almost no enemies on the ground at all. In games like Unleashed, Generations, and Forces, you can very easily boost to win because you're running on an incredibly linear track. This demo is wide open and allows freedom to run, and it's super fun. Even something as incredibly simple as running up a hill and using your boost to get super high in the air, and then watching Sonic go into free fall before he does a superhero landing and continue to run, is satisfying to the core. You can run on water if you're going fast enough, light dashing with rings usually carries your momentum correctly, and oh my god, this music is just so... It's like, if we were gonna ditch the momentum-based physics for a modern Sonic formula, this is what it should be. Even running in a straight line feels good and rewarding. You remember when you were a kid watching the Sonic Unleashed opening cinematic, and Sonic is in like super HD and it's super badass and he's just running around wrecking everything on Eggman's ship? This engine feels like I'm playing that, which is awesome. The only things I can think of in terms of problems with it is that sometimes the slope physics act a little weird, you can't run on walls or through loops, and things like springs halt all momentum. Look at this. Like, I'm going Mach speed right now, and then it just stops. To show you what it should look like, I'm gonna time a boost just right after I hit it so it looks like I carry the momentum with me. This is what I mean. This is what it should look like. Regardless, this is definitely the most polished of all the engines. Probably my favorite engine, though, is Green Hill Paradise. Someone on IndieDB who goes by Zackles made this one, and it's the most fleshed out by far. Similarly to Utopia, you use curled Sonic to pick up speed going down hills, and uncurl to propel yourself forward using that momentum, which is incredibly smart and adds depth to the gaining speed mechanic. Green Hill Paradise does it a little better though. Most games have abandoned any utility of curled Sonic except for gaining immediate speed when you are standing still. You also use it to go into Mach state, which makes you invincible and able to break open walls as well as magnetize rings to you as you run by them. The beautiful thing about Mach state is that it essentially combines boosting and earning momentum based speed. It also does this by utilizing an already established mechanic, curled Sonic, and making it more useful than just killing enemies while running. One of the coolest aspects about this engine though is how open the world is. This huge area is your playground to run around, explore, and do mini speed-based challenges to see just how far and fast you can go. It's littered with speed-based puzzles that force you to not only earn but maintain your speed. And if you look hard enough, you can even find the Chaos Emeralds and get Supersonic, which lets you hit Mach State just by running. And if you really search enough, you can find Hypersonic, which straight up lets you fly. I have no idea why these are included, but they're fun! Biggest gripes with this one are honestly water. The water is dumb. I do not like the water. So the big question after all this is, how would I personally make a good 3D Sonic game, or at the very least, my dream Sonic game? I think it would be incredibly cool to have an open world Sonic game. Something with more structure and thought in terms of level design than these demos, but with the same heart and ideas. I'm not really sure how you could easily incorporate a story into something like that, but I think it's possible. My personal view of Sonic growing up was always how he looked in the animations. I want the games to play how the cinematics look. A really important note about controls is walking and running need different controls. It should be harder to control Sonic when he's going fast. You should not be able to do hard turns on the dot and maintain speed. One thing playing these Sonic fan games on PC really benefits is the fact that you control Sonic generally using your arrow keys, but you can control him more accurately and minutely with the camera, which is the mouse. When platforming and walking, arrow keys are your main way of movement, but when running at high speeds, you pretty much only hold up while making slight movements with your mouse to fade Sonic left and right as you run. I'm sure this could be accomplished with a camera stick on a controller as well, but the sad truth is using a mouse is way too polished compared to what a controller could manage. Overall though, Sonic when running needs to control more like a car in a racing game than a 3D Mario game. You could also reserve bursting for when you drift enough, again, akin to racing games. But I also really like the Mach State mechanics Green Hill Paradise has. I want a game that isn't cluttered with side characters, and actually focuses on perfecting how Sonic controls and what his goals even are. I think a huge aspect of why speed is desirable is because it grants a sense of freedom. Someone like Mario is somewhat limited to what he's capable of, but not Sonic. So combine that with a huge open world to explore and play in, and you're in business. I want a game built around speed, something that rewards you for trying to go fast while still making the act of going fast difficult. I don't want to pick things up, I don't want to push blocks, I don't want to stand and wait for rising pillars. I think if Sega buckled down and went to town making a really big game like that, it would do great. There's a reason a game like Breath of the Wild took so long to make. Zelda is one of Nintendo's biggest franchises, but they put that game off year after year in order to perfect it as best they could, and it paid off. Sonic shits out whatever garbage they can every other Christmas or so, seemingly to make ends meet, bugs and all. I genuinely think if maybe they got Nintendo's or fans' help or something, and took the time to really perfect a game, without rushing it for the holidays, they could make something beautiful. Thanks for watching.